What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. I'm your host, Numac, and joining me once again for a preview pod of the upcoming Packers game is Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Hello. Back at it. The Packers haven't folded yet. Quite yet.
Not quite yet. So you're saying there's a chance.
That is true. There's technically a chance. I believe it climbed to 11 something percent.
I believe I saw something that if they win all of their games, their chance of getting in is like 60%.
I mean,
But that means they have to win all their games.
well, don't say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless,
They
we
have the
are
10th hardest strictest schedule.
uh back after you guys, but after about a week or so after our last pod, the mailbag. Packers coming off a bye, coming off healthy. We'll get into that a little bit that later when we do the preview of the game. But no cheese to hand out this week, but a little tea instead, coming from Jason Wild and backup quarterback Jordan Love. Jason Wild reported for the Wisconsin State Journal this week that he thinks, and that Jordan Love will talk with his agent after the season about what their plan is going forward with the team, if Rodgers does indeed want to come back for the 2023 campaign. Somewhat insinuating that they're going to ask for a trade. So I think this is not surprising news, given that it's, year three now, and the other quarterbacks around him in that 2020 draft are prospering, and he's stuck holding the clipboard. So, as the resident Jordan Love lover, Stan, maybe I'll go to. Jordan, I want to get your take on this article as well as what you think about Jordan Love uh, possibly requesting a trade.
Well, let's get here. I know you set it up brilliantly. But I wanna just let's get let's get the actual quote that insinuates something. It's a spicy meatball.
This is
It's
a
a
spicy
spicy meatball.
meatball. Yes.
Um, let's see. Where is it? Oh God, this is awful. We're doing a podcast and I don't. Here we go. Asked if Rodgers comes back for the 2023 season, if he really is willing to sit for yet another year. Jordan Love replied, "That's something me and my agent will talk about. We'll figure that out." I've watched a lot of basketball. I know the power of agents and um, agency and what that means. And I mean, the quarterback is the equivalent of the star player, regardless of whether you're Jordan Love, who has 169 snap counts to his name, Kirk Cousins, who has benefited from being a mediocre quarterback more than anyone has in NFL history, or someone as great as Aaron Rodgers has been historically. They can dictate their future in ways that other players just cannot
Mm-hmm.
by simply playing the position that they do. Um, Also helps that you're first round pick and has been tagged as the Aaron appearance. Just get that old crusty Rogers out of the way. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is cool. I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know how to, as a Packer fan, I think either way, it's kind of a lose-lose because you have two quarterbacks that seemingly are unhappy, or I don't think unhappy is the right word, but they know there's equal amount of Aaron Rodgers to play another year and Jordan Love could be gone. Jordan Love could start next year and Aaron Rodgers would definitely be
Right.
gone. So it's like the rubber is meeting the road. I've used this phrase so many freaking times talking about this story, but it truly is. We're putting unnamed tire sponsor ad on the road right now.
Right.
And for one, I just like that Jordan Love is starting to take ownership of this situation because I feel like he has gotten tagged as this innocent bystander who just is waiting for his chance, and Aaron Rodgers is going to relinquish what has been his for such a long time.
Right.
Now Jordan Love is looking at like, well, I can have my chance. It doesn't necessarily have to be in Green Bay.
Right.
I think that is where this is. It's certainly leverage,
Hmm.
but um, regardless of what you say, like it is, it's time for Jordan Love to make these kind of comments rather than Aaron Rodgers saluting the Chicago Bears crowd and doing the same yucks that just frustrate me to no end.
Right. I think that it's like I said, it's not unexpected that he come out and say this given the situation. I also don't think he has any leverage to do so. Like, no matter what, he's under contract at minimum for next year. And if the Packers want him the year after that, at the cost of $20 million. Um, and as Jason Wild talks about in his article, he says that maybe Jordan Love looks so good in his chances because he's had 3 years to learn Matt LaFleur's system, and maybe that wouldn't look so good in another system. Like you just don't know. It's like hard going into a new system as a quarterback, especially a young quarterback who hasn't had any game experience, to learn that new system and succeed. Like Joe Burrow was really the only quarterback I'd say out of that group that came in right away and succeeded. And even then, he tore his ACL
And
his rookie year early.
then the same knock that dogged him from that moment to now, even now, is their offensive line has they've it's always been about protecting Joe Burrow. It's been protecting Joe Burrow. They have all the great weapons, but yeah, it's about protecting your primary asset to that whole thing that the whole engine.
Right, exactly. So I think that he might ask for it in the offseason. I don't think it does anything. Like I think it's just going to be
You don't think it does anything?
No, I don't. I don't think it does. Like we won't see anything decided about this offseason because they don't need to make a decision on anything. Like the Packers themselves do not need to make this decision until like 2023 2024 offseason.
Yes, that is true. I also could play devil's advocate and say Jordan Love is doing best for Jordan Love.
Oh, without a doubt.
And
Like
and um to to divorce myself from just seeing a fresh voice or a fresh quarterback because it's not that I'm ready for a change, it's that it just feels like things have run their course.
yeah,
But I think for his sake, he's 24 years old. Again, I don't know I don't even know what his trade market would be, as weird as that sounds,
exactly.
because there's still so much unknown. And as you said, like he's had 3 years to benefit from a system, but we'd also say like this is the least talented Packers team that has existed under Matt LaFleur,
Yeah,
in part because they don't have Devontae Adams. And I don't know. There's so many different factors at play here. And you're right. They don't have to make this decision. Or they don't have to make this decision until next year.
right. I just
That
don't.
doesn't mean that the well can't be poisoned.
Right. I don't think that the well can be poisoned, as you say. Like I don't think that's um an unlikely possibility. I just think that they'll be honest with Jordan Love and be like, "Hey, we drafted you as the backup option for Aaron Rodgers, thinking that he was declining, and then had these All-Pro seasons. Like we can't help that happened, but as of right now, you're with us, and knowing, I guess they could probably say it behind closed doors that knowing how Aaron Rodgers kind of goes in between his decisions to keep playing every year, that they get out of his contract after next year, and that they just see how next year goes." Because if next year is like another down Aaron Rodgers year, I wouldn't be surprised if they just um, not cut, but either release or trade or do whatever with Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers, and then start Jordan Love. Like people forget that like Aaron Rodgers didn't like sitting behind Brett Favre either. Like this is history
No,
repeating. This is history repeating itself. And
yeah,
so
it doesn't matter how talented you are. People want the ability to start and showcase their game because this is their money making years. You know what I mean?
right. And so like I think like they could be honest um with Jordan Love and talk about like, hey, if you really want out and you're gonna like hold out, which I don't think he'll do because he doesn't have any leverage playing wise that way either, then like we can try and find a trade, but I don't think we're gonna trade you. We're not trading you for pennies on the dollar. Like looking at teams that could want him, I'm just gonna like start listing off teams that I see on this graphic.
There's a lot of them.
I mean, is there like
I think so.
I'd
There's
say
not a lot of good quarterbacks. The Packers are about to play a team that seemingly has no future at quarterback either.
the Rams are in the same place that the Packers and they just signed Matthew Stafford for that big extension.
Yeah,
So like Rams will say maybe. Um, the Jets, sure, but I don't know if they're willing to let assets ride on Jordan Love, knowing that he is unproven. Like I'm not as big as a fan of Jordan Love as you are, because I think you kind of top that list. But I would like to see Jordan Love succeed with the Packers. Like that's something I would like to see in the next couple of years. That being said, I don't know if he has success at the next or with another team. Like I'm not confident enough that he has raw skill ability to make that transfer over. So the Texans, they have the number one pick. They're probably getting a quarterback anyways. Wouldn't
yeah.
trade for him. Um, the Broncos can't. They have to pay Russell Wilson. The Falcons just drafted their quarterback in Desmond Ritter, who they plan on starting this week. Uh, the Panthers maybe, the Lions
Mm,
maybe, uh, the Colts maybe, the
yeah.
Jets maybe, the Steelers maybe, the Titans maybe.
The Raiders.
I think they're committed to Derek Carr. Like, I don't think you give all that money to Devontae Adams to trade his buddy.
They're
Like,
committed to a lot of things right now.
I
That's
know
for
that's
sure.
that's part of the Raiders' problem. So like, I see like six teams, maybe I'll say maybe the Saints,
The
seven
Buccaneers.
teams that could make an offer at Jordan Love, and if any of those teams are willing to give up,
That's nearly a fourth of the league right there.
right? But I don't know. I don't know if because like the Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett, the Jets could use.
The thing though,
I think the Jets could use Jordan Love, but I think they'd be
should.
better served in getting Rodgers because they have all the talent around them right now that if they just
God,
had a quarterback, they could win.
imagine Rodgers in New York.
It would be a carbon copy of the Fire thing. Like
Oh, of course.
I'm not just saying
But
that
just
to make the carbon copy. I honestly believe that if the Jets were serious about wanting to trade for quarterback, they would call the Packers and ask for the price tag on Aaron Rodgers to see what they can do because Garrett Wilson's pretty darn good. Like Elijah Moore is still pretty good despite now getting worked
Brees
back in the
Hall is
office.
showing a lot of things before he got hurt.
Yep. And they have a really good defense now.
Hmm.
Like they beat the Packers. Like we saw this. Like
You throw the Giants in the mix for Jordan Love too.
Daniel Jones doesn't have a half bad year under Dable.
No, but I think there's a lot. I would not.
And
Nothing surprises me anymore.
right, especially in the NFL with knowing how like teams are willing to go cut ties
Zach
pretty quickly
Wilson.
with their quarterbacks.
Zach Wilson was the second overall pick last year.
Not last year. I think it was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
No, no, it might have been last year. I think you're right.
Either way, and his future is done. He's already been benched.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it is unforgiving.
it is. He was last year.
That's
So
that's pretty ruthless, but
it
also the
is.
correct
But
decision.
I also wouldn't want to give up Jordan Love for anything less than at least one second round pick. Like second round pick and other things, knowing that I can just get out of the Rodgers contract after next year and cut some dead money.
Yeah, I mean this is part of. Yeah, it's so tantalizing because you could look at it from so many different ways.
Hmm.
Where the Packers might make out like gangbusters, but they also could easily push this back another year, as you said. And in terms of their asset play here, we're going CEO, stock management.
Right.
As much as it could boom for them, it could easily bust. And you know what I mean? Like that's part of the problem of having such a position so valuable to success in the NFL. And it's not like Jordan Love. I'm not anticipating him to be Aaron Rodgers by any means.
Right.
I do just think if you're not to rehash this, but for a future play and considering the things that you have already in place, offensively with their weapons, with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, get into a little bit later too. Like there is weapons in place for him to succeed.
There are.
And having that familiarity, obviously, with LaFleur for so long will certainly help with him. And you know, it's not just about having him under his wing, it's about when you could take the training wheels off, so to speak. It's just a matter Jordan Love wants those training wheels off.
Yeah.
And it's up to Brian Gutekunst to do that in one way or another, even if it doesn't benefit him primarily.
Right. I think like it really is, like you said, it's a boomer bust for the Packers in this situation. They either make out like gangbusters in a trade for Jordan Love, but that leaves them in a very bad scenario of being withholden to Rodgers' desires and what he's feeling that day of the week. Because while they have him under contract for I think 4 more years or 3 or 4 more years,
Yeah,
he could just up and retire one day and leave them with nobody at quarterback. Like nobody, unless they plan on drafting another first round quarterback, which would be mind-blowingly stupid after you just traded away the one.
I mean, there's also a possibility that I mean, as you said, does neither one of them start for the Packers in
2024?
Yeah, let's go.
No, it'd be no. Love
2025.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
maybe, but like they either trade Love for a song and get good draft picks for him, run with Rodgers. Rodgers retires, and they're left with nobody.
Are they willing to do that?
I don't think they are. I do not think they are. But the flip side of this coin is that they don't trade Love, poison the well, and get nothing from him. But I don't think that's the case. I really think that what we've talked about all season is that it's going to be they're not gonna play Love this season unless they like the last 2 games maybe the last game against the Lions. But then it's all Rodgers next year, and then that'll be it. Like I think they'll pick up Love's 5th year, no matter what, and then Love will get 1 year to play in the system to see if he gets an extension.
If I'm Jordan Love, you do that based on knowing where you're going to get. Because he could easily say, I did everything that you wanted me to. I did rock the boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he got good money. He got first round pick money, but he also did that, again, played 169 snaps. Like, there is a world when if they do the Rodgers farewell tour under the scenario, Love could easily just kind of go in and just take immediate ownership. I mean, it would be his team.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think that is honestly the ideal pathway for the Packers to get this done. Like, I think it is the correct course of action. I think cutting Rodgers off this season might be premature, despite his lackluster play this year. Just like cap-wise, it's probably not the best thing to do this year. But like, and then on the other side, trading Jordan Love isn't the best thing to do. Like, I think just the easiest thing to do is just do all of this for another year and have this conversation after next season.
I can't wait till he salutes the people at Allegiant Stadium or whoever AFC team that he plays. You never know when you're going to be back here in SoFi Stadium.
They do play at home this week.
Well, I meant like next year when
Oh
he's
yeah.
playing against like an AFC team.
Oh yeah. You never know. You never
Um,
know when the next time you're gonna play in Kansas City is or, or Miami.
I
We
just
do it against the
love
Dolphins in Miami.
I love the Hard Rock Cafe, and you never know when you're gonna play. The thing about this too, the last thing I want, because I know we probably gone longer than we anticipated.
Yeah,
Oh, why am I already losing my train of thought?
that'll happen.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting old. Jordan Love, Jordan Love. It was about Jordan Love. Let's just move on. What am I doing?
No problem. But yeah, either which way, kind of the big news this week out of the bye week from the Packers. So I think it is fitting that we talked for 20 minutes on that, just
Yeah.
because has a pretty significant impact on the rest of the how do I say the rest of the franchises, the future of the franchise. That's what I'm trying to say. There we go. I got there. I got there. But let's get into the preview of this week's game with the Rams. Some injury updates. I think this is like besides the obvious injuries that they're out for the season, like Rashawn Gary and probably Eric Stokes. I think this is the healthiest that this team has been in quite some time, possibly since the beginning of the year, or even before that. Um, Romeo Doubs. Well, I guess let me back up. Everybody except for David Bakhtiari practiced on Monday, I believe it was, and David Bakhtiari is still recovering from his appendectomy. So, um, but other than that, Romeo Doubs practiced. Rob Dombrowski said that Dobbs said, or that I'm sorry, Rob Dombrowski said that Dobbs sounded quote confident he would be a goal from Monday's game against the Rams. That he ran full speed in the practice on Tuesday and had no issues. He also mentioned that he thinks it was the correct decision to sit out for the Bears game. So
Yeah.
it's nice to
Extra
see.
week.
Yep, it's nice to see that like he wanted to play, but then now coming off the bye week, he recognizes that like, oh, this is what a healthy ankle feels like, not what it did last Saturday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be super good to have him back. We'll talk about that in a bit. We talk about the offense defense. Um, then practice squad stuff. We don't have an actual injury report that comes out as you're listening to this on Thursday. Um, practice squad things. They activated Caleb Jones from the practice squad to the active roster, probably just to be back up for Dave Bakhtiari. Caleb Jones was on the non-illness injury list for a while. I think from what I saw, let me see, Packers activate. Caleb Jones did not practice from September 16th to November 23rd when he returned to the practice field. I think he might have been on IR or something, but
Oh, yeah, that sounds right
this
now.
is from Cassidy Hill, the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel.
Yeah.
But he was basically just hurt. I think he hurt himself, or obviously he hurt himself, but um, activating him, so he was one of the guys that was cut from the 53-man roster. Oh, he wasn't hurt. It was a non-football illness. My apologies, and he was battling mono,
Oh,
so not fun.
that is a
He called it.
lengthy bout.
He called it a mini off season.
Yeah, I mean, essentially,
Yeah. Uh,
that is super disappointing.
Jones told Packers News in November, uh, I've just been kind of working out, making sure I'm staying on top of my weight, my conditioning, lifting like crazy. Now I feel like I'm in fantastic shape, just strong and fast. We love the energy. So hopefully he gets to see some time. I doubt he will, obviously given the nature of offensive line things, but um, hopefully get some time this season.
Man.
This season just to get some reps in and make his debut. But yeah, then they ended up releasing wide receiver Dede Westbrook and defensive lineman Jack Heflin. Jack Heflin was one of the practice squad members that didn't make the cut on cut day, was immediately signed there. Last year draft pick, played in 4 games last year, didn't make a whole lot of tackles. I think he had like 1 tackle. So he was just one of the guys that the Packers were developing, and they just must not have seen it kind of be coming together for him because they let him go. I think I'm trying to see what he did in the preseason, but it's hard to find preseason. So I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
Regardless, they signed two offensive tackles, Michael Manette and uh, Jean Delance. So just maybe trying to develop more offensive linemen. I honestly don't see the point. I understand letting go of Westbrook if they're all healthy on receiver now. I don't really get
And
releasing Heflin.
Helflin.
Yeah, don't
Did I say
truly
Heflin?
understand it. Heflin, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it is curious, especially when honestly, if Devontae Wyatt can't get out there um regularly, I guess I don't know what they're prioritizing at that position because it's been a bit shaky this year to say the least.
Right. Yeah, I don't really know. It's definitely interesting to say the least. So, but yeah, only he assisted on a tackle in the one game he played, or the four games he played last year. So like, um, he had 17 snaps on defense and 13 on special teams. So like again, not a whole lot of stuff there. But I guess they must have just not seen it with him after a year and now 14 weeks into the season.
Yeah,
But he did make plays in the preseason. I remember like we talked about him enough to where he was making plays. But
yeah, he was a preseason uh, wonder boy, if I remember correctly.
yeah, I think people
Last
were.
year, right? That was last year.
I don't know honestly. I know for
Well,
sure we
he
talked
had,
about. I know for sure we talked about him this year, and then we were
yeah.
kind of like not surprised, but like yeah, practice squad, keep him for next year kind of thing. But no, not to be, not to be. So that's it for the preview stuff. Should we get into the actual game, the offense, defense? Talk about the players.
Let's get into it.
Start with the Packers offense, since it'll be exciting to see our rookie wide receivers come out and hopefully kind of gash this defense. Like we had said earlier, only Bakhtiari missing time this week, most likely, given or barring any other sort of surprise crop ups on the injury report tomorrow or today. Now that you're listening to this, um, yeah, just really excited to see this offense at full force with Alan Lazard, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Rogers, all pretty healthy. Rogers didn't have any tape on his thumb. He said a few times that the bye could probably heal his thumb, and he reiterated that this week. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting week of Packers football on offense, just to see if they can like put a game together and put four quarters of a decent offense together.
I'll be very interested in like the target share
Mm,
between pass catchers now.
mm,
Now that we've seen the ascendance of Christian Watson, how does Romeo Doubs fit in? Because for all the talk about Rodgers and his trust in his young wideouts, that has not been the case. Obviously, it has helped that their offenses started to click on more cylinders than it had been, but Dobbs was at least like getting a lot of play there before he got hurt.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's going to be some bad moments. I mean, that comes with being an inexperienced player and the jump to the pros and just, when you play for Aaron Rodgers, you're expected a lot out of you, no matter what your position is or experience, all that good stuff.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think that is kind of the biggest thing that I'm watching for with Dobbs coming back, because even with the Rams having quite the Super Bowl hangover year, I mean they still have Jalen Ramsey.
Yep.
That is not he's still an all-pro cornerback when everything's going right.
Mm-hmm.
Who's their other corner too? I think he's still pretty good.
Can find it.
Um, yeah, I don't know. There's just something interesting. Troy Hill, I think that's his name. Is that his
Yep.
name?
Yep. Troy
Yeah,
Hill.
there it is. Yeah, pretty good too. Like, so the Rams aren't that good, but the defenders that Watson and Dobbs are going up against are going to be interesting matches, and I think that's kind of at this point in this season, and given where you are at, even with 11 something percent chance,
Right.
everything's a litmus test, at this point
Yeah.
against elite type players for Watson Doubs.
Right. Like that's the like you said, the Rams are having quite the hangover year, but that's not to say they don't have like talent on the defensive side of the ball. Like they still have Jalen Ramsey, like you said, they still have Bobby Wagner and Aaron Donald when he's healthy, along with Leonard Floyd. Like they have playmakers on that defense. Um, Aaron Donald was out last week for their Thursday night game. But with the week and a half back, he's questionable right now, so I'd imagine um he might play for this week. So it'll just be interesting to see how this offense can work against a good defense, but not a great defense. Like they have players, so if they can isolate those players and make them non-factors, they should have a lot of success this week.
Yeah, and the Packers have had the Rams number too. I mean, last year that was Rasul Douglas's big game, um, intercepting Matthew Stafford into oblivion on a pick six. um, uh, Playoff game too. That was the year before against Jared Goff.
hmm
So yeah, and obviously all the McVay, LaFleur connections, under the Shanahan coaching tree, all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Packers lead the series 48-47 to 2.
48-47 to 2.
Well, I'm sorry, 48. The Packers have won 48, lost
48-47 to 2.
47, and tied twice. Um, so a
Wow.
little closer than I thought it'd be.
Who has two ties and a showdown and like a head to head?
I don't know. Let's see if I can find when that last tie was. They tied in 1940.
Yeah.
That was the first tie, and then they tied in 1964. So that's when they were the Cleveland Rams in 1940, and then they were then the Los Angeles Rams
Los
in
Angeles.
'64.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, like you said, last year they beat them 36-28. They won the last two and four of the last five, dating back to 2012. So, yeah, they've had some good matchups over the years, that's for sure. Should have been a matchup last year in the playoffs, but I digress.
We
Um,
won't talk about that.
no, we won't. What is interesting though, when I was doing this like a little research, is that the Packers should be working with short-ish fields this week. The Rams have a league worst starting field percentage. They the Rams opponents on average start at the Rams or they're on their own 30, which is 5 yards more
That
than
is bad.
like the touchback, but it's not good. Like that
That's a
range,
Mason Crosby legging it out, and the other returner going for like 35 or
right?
30.
Like the range isn't that big. It's like 23, 24 to 30. Like the best is 23, 24, and the worst is 30. So it's not that big of a range, but 7 yards is nice, and you have to have some 45, 50 yard starts in there to get to 30 to lean back from all the or to move the mean back from 25 or forward, I should say. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but then like conversely, and we'll talk about like later when we talk about defense, is that the Rams starting field position is second to worst. So the field position battle for them is not going well. I will be interested to see who draws Jalen Ramsey though. Like,
Yeah.
is it Christian Watson or is it Romeo Doubs or is it Alan
I think it's,
Lazard? Like,
I think it's, ooh,
it'll be interesting.
they wouldn't put him on. Maybe they would.
They could put him on Alan Lazard just to take away like the underneath slant routes
Yeah. Like the
or
safety
something.
valve.
Oh, that's what I wanted to look up. You talked about target share. I
Yes.
think that was an interesting point. Since Romeo Doubs' injury, uh, Christian Watson has had 8, 6, 6, and 7 targets in his like explosion of games. Before that, Romeo Doubs, who like got the lion's share of those rookie targets,
Pun intended.
we'll say we'll start with his game where he scored his first touchdown. The first game he started, which was against Tampa.
Mm,
8 targets, 5 targets, 9 targets, 4 against Washington, and then 7 against Buffalo.
that
And then
checks out.
yeah, then the one against Detroit before he got hurt, like when he got
Yeah.
hurt. But that'll be an interesting thing to think about is that who is going to get those.
It's gone this way, and then
Yeah,
Dobbs gets hurt, and it goes back to Watson,
yeah, like
and it
the
goes.
meter is going back and forth. And I think it'll be very interesting to see if like the Packers decide and Rodgers decides that they're going to feature the two rookies and then like that takes away receptions from Lazard or how that's going to work. I think it might be honestly like riding the hot hand. Like I don't think either one of the rookies will get as many second chance opportunities if they drop a ball to regain themselves if they can just pass if Rodgers can just pass it to the other one. Which like isn't to like make them to put them up against one another. I just think that might be how it shakes out over the course of the game and the rest of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's been about like I don't know, equal opportunity. What is the word? Egalitarian, right? Where it's like egalitarian. I think
Sure,
that's what it is. It's a fancy word. I had to
too big of a
throw
word
out
for
a
me.
fancy word, but it's like everybody gets a share of their of looks, targets, all that good stuff. But
Oh, you are right.
as you, what is it?
Egalitarian, relating to or believing in the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. Look at you,
That's my credo.
big,
Jordan Tresky, running
big,
for president,
big,
2024.
big word knower.
um. So yeah, from that lens, I mean, that target share does not necessarily speak of an egalitarian process that the Packers are having with their wide receivers.
Right, and so like, and going with Lazard, he's kind of gotten his fair share all year too. Like he had 3 targets in the Vikings game, but then four. I'm sorry, in the Bears game. Then going the rest of the year, besides a couple games, I think he sat out one game, week 8. He sat out against the Bills, I think. Yeah, against the Bills, he was out. 6 targets, 8, 8, 9, 7, 10, 4, 11, 3, and 6. So like clearly Lazard's still getting looks from Rodgers, even as recently as the last 4 games that Watson has been wide receiver 1, 4, 11, 3, and 6. Like that's not terrible, but
Yeah. We
um
also have to take an account of they're down too, and they're just, you know, pass
or
heavy offense.
right, right. Like even in that Titans game, he had 11 targets, only 5 catches, but that's still a lot of targets.
Yeah.
And so I think that will be a big theme the rest of the year is if they're all healthy, only look for those 3 guys I think to get the ball. Randall Cobb might get one on a 4th down here and there. Bobby Tunyon might get one here and there, but I think they are really going to feature those 3 receivers and then the running backs out of the backfield or
Mhm.
their passing game. I think that's just where the talent lies. Like, why would you try to get Sammy Watkins going or try to get anybody else going besides for sure Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, um, when they're just as talented as they are. Like, there's just no reason, in my opinion, to go down that depth chart and get the 3, 4, 5 wide receivers or option guys looks because
Yeah.
in a perfect world you have Christian Watson on one side, Romeo Doubs on the other, and then Lazard, or no, sorry, Lazard would be outside. Then one of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs in the slot, one on the other side, Aaron Jones, in the backfield. Like that should be your offense a lot
Yeah.
in the game. Like I don't see too much of a variance in that offensive set depending on how they and their passing offensive sets. I should.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would make the most sense.
Yeah, but um, talked about it earlier. The Rams are not that good at getting home, and they have a bad rushing defense. They, I think, have 26 sacks on the season, which
Oof.
is bottom, I think third of the league. I think they were like 10th or 20th rather in total sacks, which coincidentally is still more than the Packers, but it doesn't mean that
Oof.
the
Oh.
that the that the Rams defense isn't just as bad as the Packers one is. So, and then total rushing yards, they've allowed quite a few. I can try and find them. Well, I lied. Totally lied to. 13.25 for rushing yards allowed this year, so um, relatively good actually. Must have read my graph wrong, but I still think they can run Aaron Jones against them. So
I think so too. Even with Aaron Donald more healthy than he had
yeah,
been 2 weeks ago or whatever it was.
yeah, middle of the road passing yardage allowed about 29, almost 3,000 yards. So 18 touchdowns, only 9 receptions, so that's a positive.
Yeah.
I think there's ample opportunity though for this Packers offense to have lots of success. Honestly, like it's just one of those times where if you can keep everybody else sort of in check, like if you can keep the big four right between Leonard Floyd, Bobby Wagner, Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey in check, which will probably be hard given that Donald's going to line up across that from left tackle against whoever's filling in there.
Yeah.
As long as you keep those in check, I think the Packers should have mounds of success against this Rams team.
I mean, this has the makings of a complete performance that I don't even know if they've had. Because I wouldn't even say the Bears win or any of the Bears wins was that
Right.
kind of convincing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if it's again, they're the odds of this season, playoffs and taco playoffs and all that stuff, it's still exists, but it's not like we're talking about this as a primary focus.
Yeah.
But if you want to kind of generate some excitement and kind of make things still interesting, and an NFC that is completely wide open,
Right.
beyond the top teams like the Eagles and the Cowboys and basically the NFC East. So yeah, I think that's where we price it mostly every week, but I feel like expectations are starting to shift of what this Packers team is, in
Mhm.
part because of where we're at, but like there's still some good things that have come out of this year, no doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So I don't know. That's where it's like now that you're playing an opponent that is very much inferior to you, can you put it all together and
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know,
This
make the
would be
last
if
few
this
weeks
game was
glorious?
played like earlier in the year, we thought it'd be like better than it was.
Oh
But
yeah,
like knowing that the Packers have the ability to score points now, since their offense is clicking, this is the expectation of I'd like them to beat the crap out of the Rams
yeah.
because of what we've seen recently. But 4 or 5 weeks ago, we'd have thought like this game would be ugly. So hopefully that's what happens, given
And
that
there's still a chance that it
there's
is.
still a chance that it is. Like if they come out ugly after like a week and a half, like after the bye week, because like I feel like that's the bane of the Packers' existence, right? Is they always come out flat in bye weeks. Maybe that's anecdotal. Maybe that's like me
I think that's even more
being
in play
revisionist.
with a young team too.
Right.
If we're being honest.
Um, Looking at a couple more just like general stats that I think are interesting. Um, to go along with that uh, the start of their drive stat that I told you, like they rank the worst or the worst at where the opponent starts from, and their own start drives are second worst. Um, just an interesting stat to see that the opposing team is having more drives. Sorry, I gotta think of how to word the sentence. The Rams defense allows the third longest drives on average in the league at almost 3 minutes, 2:58,
Mm.
and then about 6.5 plays per drive. But given all of that, they allow 32 yards on average, 19th best, but 2.02 points per drive. It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
But
But
when you put them all together,
it's
if you start at the 30 and give up 30 yards, you're about at the opponent's 40,
yeah.
which is the edge of field goal range where you start going for it on fourth down. Along with, I think that's probably why their points allowed is middle of the pack and not bottom of the league. Because
Bottom, yeah,
they're probably
basically.
making a lot of fourth down stops, given that like teams are just going for it because on the 40-yard line, if they get it, then they can start getting field goal range. So I think it'll be interesting. I'm actually getting. It's been a week and a half without Packer football. I'm getting more and more excited for this game as we're talking about it because it's gonna be.
Not to
You're gonna burst my bubble.
I might. It's gonna be cold.
Oh, I saw that. It's gonna be. I think the low is
Do you want,
8.
I have it right now.
Oh, with meteorologist George Husky. What is the weather gonna be like on? Watch the YouTube. Duran's pantomiming the
Um
weatherman.
so we're over here in this Green Bay area. Flow is coming through. AccuWeather has Monday night at 4 degrees. The real
Phil,
real feel,
real Phil.
golden egg, -9 degrees. Mostly cloudy and frigid. Yeah, that is the recipe for not fun. There's a lot of running the ball, and
I just want to
some,
see him air it out.
I know, but some players are going to be. I, I haven't played a Green Bay Colt before. It's not that bad. And then it's like,
It's
dude,
Christian Watson. It's the rookies.
put some long sleeves on, man. It's the ball, catching a ball with your bare arms
Do you?
when it's that cold.
Yeah, painful.
I have plenty of experience. And it sucks. It's terrible.
Do you
Why I don't play
remember
football
when Hoodie James Jones was a thing?
Oh yes, of
Oh, I
course.
loved Hoodie James Jones. He's like peak James Jones performance
That was probably the last good thing to come out. I shouldn't say that because I know the Jared Cook touchdown, but for me, it was the Hoodie James Jones was like the last good thing.
of like the McCarthy era.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
like this is incredibly stupid. And I love it just so
right.
much.
Absolutely. Let's go switch over to the defense. If it is going to be that cold, I think that the Packers will have a lot of success. Cam Akers, and I think that's it for the running game. They don't have Joe.
Cut Daryl Henderson.
Nope, he's gone. They
I
they
know, yeah.
yeah they waived him. Um, it's just Cam Akers. He's not been playing the best. So
No.
and Baker Mayfield's not exactly a
And they
mobile
tried to
quarterback.
trade him too. That was the other thing. They tried to trade him earlier in the
That was
year.
so weird. They were like, "We're gonna trade Cam Akers," and they just waived Joe Henderson. Like
And
I
they
don't.
brought Cam Akers back.
Yeah. So
And I think they cut Malcolm Brown,
yep,
who's like their backup. It's a whole weird thing.
it is a very weird thing. So with all of that, hopefully the run defense can put something together to stop Cam Akers. If we get 100 yards, if we give 100 yards to Cam Akers, I might have a meltdown.
I mean, he's not looking for yards. He's looking for
I
acres.
don't like you. Honest to goodness. You've had better in your career, Jordan. You know it.
That is
You know
true.
it.
He's no
Um
David. Kyren Williams is their backup running back.
Oh my
Malcolm
god.
Brown is still on the team, so I correct myself there.
Holy
Yeah, I
moly.
mean, can you name here? Let's play a game.
Whereas being guys being dudes, naming football players.
Um, I think all of these people are hurt. So, can you name the wide receiver for the Rams who has the most receptions and is not hurt? So Cooper Kupp is out; he's on IR.
It's gotta be
Now,
like it has to be Van Jefferson, right?
you were correct. He has
Okay.
13.
Yeah. Like because he's like he was their like their
He was
third
pretty good
option.
too.
Yeah, he was like their third option last year behind Odell, Cooper Cup, and
And
then
Ben
Robert Woods, fourth option.
Skowronek.
Yeah, who got all of his receptions last week. Like he went off last week against the Raiders.
And then I think is hurt.
Is he?
He popped up on a injury report. I think maybe I'm wrong.
They should have had an injury report.
No,
Yet.
no, no. I'm
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Regardless,
And Skowronek.
they they don't have a lot of like active talent at the wide receiver position, along with the running back. Like
Their starting quarterback was waived a
last
week and a
week,
half ago.
right? Like they have Baker Mayfield, who, to his credit, somehow led that drive against the Raiders, probably because the Raiders stink, but led that drive against the Raiders, and then
Is he the starting quarterback for the Rams next year?
who, Baker
Mm-hmm.
for the Rams?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that 1,000% not. Like I think
I don't know.
something, I don't want to say catastrophic, but something quite significant would have to happen.
I think it already did.
You think
Matthew
Matt?
Stafford feels like he's been poked by a voodoo doll like
How old do
nine
you think Matthew
times.
Stafford is?
He's 35.
He's about to turn 35. He turns 35 in February,
Happy birthday, Matthew.
so he's not old. Like
He's got a, but
he's got mileage, is what he has.
mileage, and I mean, I'm not trying. He's got damage. He's been beaten and
God damn,
battered.
like, that's what I mean. He's got mileage. Like
He's got baggage.
I don't think he's got baggage either. I don't think he has mileage. He played 16 games for almost 10 years straight, and then got hurt. Then played 16 games,
I
17
forgot.
games.
Yeah, I forgot he was like always hurt in the earlier parts of his career too.
Yeah, 10 games, 3 games, then started all of them.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Crazier things have happened, but like
I don't
he,
think he retires. I don't think
I
he
will
retires, and
never,
I don't think the Rams move on from him.
I will never forget. Because I went to the Rams Packers game last year, and there was some question about Matthew Stafford playing, and I remember checking my phone on the way up to Green Bay, and Adam Schefter had this tweet of like, Matthew Stafford has a fractured wrist, a broken, or I'm paraphrasing, but like a broken finger,
Mm-hmm.
uh, not a fractured back, but something like a sore back.
I remember that.
He has pins and needles in his ankle. He is probable for Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like,
Um,
okay.
so I think there's absolutely no chance that they don't run out Matthew Stafford's contract. If they cut him this year, like this offseason, they have 50 million in dead cap for him. They
I know a quarterback who would make more.
he just signed that extension this offseason. Like
That's right.
I just don't think that that's gonna happen. Like I think their entire team has just been snake bitten, and that
Their future's been snake bitten too.
I
They
mean,
won the Super Bowl at the exact time where it started. Like, I know it's very easy to say this now based on the season they've had, but like, my God, like I don't think they will be in another position like this in a long time.
well, I don't think it's like. I think honestly they just have injuries. Like Matthew Stafford was not right to start the year. He had his elbow issue, and then they've never had like good running backs between Cam Akers and
No,
Darrell Henderson.
ever since Gurley.
Right, but then Cooper Kupp got hurt. Like he's on IR, who was like the lifeblood of that team, and then um, Allen Robinson didn't work out, and then Odell left. Like there was still hurt, so they didn't resign him. Like I think this could honestly, like the Packers, just be a gap year for them. Like the difference is that they don't get at their draft pick, which they would really love. But
And the difference is that arguably their best player might retire after this year, after
Aaron Donald,
dabbling in
yeah,
retirement last year.
yeah, we'll see. So, but no, the defensive side of the ball for the Packers, like, do you stick Jair on Van Jefferson? Like the corners should just feast. And I hate that I have to say this because I feel like I'm gonna pull my hair out when Jair gets beat on a 50-yard bomb from Baker frickin' Mayfield
Uh-huh.
to whatever his name was, Ben Skornick or whatever what the hell his name was.
I've been Skowarnick to
Yeah,
secrecy.
Ben Skowronek we'll go with. Like it's inexcusable if they don't have like a turnover this week or just lock down Baker Mayfield. Like if we this game the Packers should
And
cover this
Baker
easy. Easy the Packers should cover.
and Baker, he had better weapons with him last year when he was playing in Cleveland and going into Lambeau and Chris State and got absolutely walloped.
Right.
Um, yeah, I this game should not be that competitive. And there's just this lingering doubt that it will be a lot closer than I anticipate or than I want it to be.
According to ESPN, Packers are -7. Like there's no doubt in my mind they
That
should win.
has to be the highest it has been since like
They might have been
the
more against the
Washington
Bears.
game.
No, they might have been more against the Bears last week. I don't know what it was, but I would imagine they were probably 3.5. They were done. Now I'm
Wow.
curious. Commanders was 4. It might be the highest it's been. Lions was 4.
Bills was definitely that was the 10 point.
Bears or they were 10.5 since against the Bears. Like the first game against the Bears. They were 7.5 against the Jets. No one cares about this stat, so we'll move on. But regardless, um, like seeing Dre get in there, stopping runs again, like I really think that this has like we had like you said earlier, the makings of just a put together, wrapped up nicely with a bow on top, ready for Christmas game for Packers fans. Like the offense should be able to succeed with ease. The defense should have no troubles guarding any of the receivers and getting home to Baker Mayfield and stopping the run. Like it sounds arrogant knowing where we've come from this season, but I just don't think there's anything to worry about this week. And I say that, and they'll lose by 3 touchdowns.
There's gonna be a touchdown let up before the half or the end of the first half, and we're gonna be like, oh, there it is. That's the Packers haven't left.
Right? Yeah, I think you say that, and it's absolutely going to happen. So,
Uh,
anything in particular you want to touch on? We have a couple more things we got to do, but on the
I
defensive
don't think
side.
I don't think so.
Okay. Then players to watch and score prediction.
Players to watch. Players to let's go. Let's go, Christian Watson.
Hmm.
This is
Interesting.
it. This is the best corner that he's faced this year. Probably someone else is escaping my memory, but
Yeah, probably.
I want to see him how he does against Ramsey.
Yeah. If he gets matched up with
It's
them.
that simple.
I'm gonna go Jair. I really hope that I don't have to pull my hair out and watch Jair do awful things.
This is a definitely. Oh my god, this is definitely a game that he would just be like, "What? Ben Skorotic is not better than me," and I let up 3 touchdowns against him.
Exactly. Um. Okay. Score predictions. I will go first because you went first with players. I'm gonna stick with them winning. Obviously, it's not gonna be high scoring because it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
27-14.
Let's go 24-21 Packers.
That's close. You don't think they cover?
I don't think they cover. No, I don't. You heard it here first.
Interesting.
Please don't follow my gambling advice, please.
According to wrap up quickly, according to the New York Times is playoff simulator, if the Packers went out, they have a 56% chance to win the or to play a wild card game. I do not feel like
It's a lower number than I thought it would be, and it does not guarantee success.
yeah, they would need
It's,
like a lot of help.
oh yeah.
Which like the help is there, but the biggest issue is that they need to win out.
Well, I mean,
If they don't win like all of their
who's ahead of them
games,
right now? Who's ahead of them? Washington Giants
Washington
and
Giants, Seahawks are like the three that are coming up as the big like
well,
their games matter essentially.
the thing too about this is that Washington and the Giants play against each other.
Yep.
Um, Giants still have Philly left
So
and the Vikings.
in week 16, um, hell, even in week 15, if the Niners win tonight, as you're listening to this on Thursday, against the Seahawks in Seattle, that helps them a lot. Like we're basically
Yeah,
rooting against the Seahawks, the Commanders, and the Giants in
yeah,
this. Like the Cowboys, I think, are too far ahead for that to matter.
yeah.
But um, if the if the my apologies, my brain is not working. If the Seahawks and the Commanders and the Giants all have a couple losses down the way, it makes it a lot more likely. Like if either one of those teams lose twice, we're probably in a good spot, as well as just the Packers obviously winning out. But looking at this now, the Seahawks play the Chiefs next week, the Giants play the Vikings, and the Commanders play the Niners. Like they all three could lose those games. Like
Get Brocked.
right, like the Chiefs, Vikings, and Niners are all good
Mhm.
facing those teams, and like those teams are fighting for playoff seeding, especially the Chiefs and the Vikings. Packers play
They
the
all
Dolphins,
have.
so they'd have to go
Yeah.
into Miami and win, which is
Mhm.
tough considering the Dolphins will be fighting for their life too. Um, then in week 17, the Colts play the Giants, so that'd be a tough ask to do. But then Packers play the Vikings, need to win that game. Like it's
And they
hard.
got to
But
beat the
then
hottest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions.
yep, the Browns are playing the Commanders in week 17, so that's a toss up, I would say honestly. Um, and then Giants Eagles play each other last week of the season. Then Cowboys Commanders play each other last week game of the season.
It's
So
definitely going to get jumbled.
yeah,
And all this is moot if the Packers lose this game or lose any other games.
right, exactly. So all the which way, that is all we got for you. A couple of promotions though. A lot of stuff happening this week in the GSPN sphere of podcasts. First things first, big Brewers news. They absolutely weaseled their way into the Asian Braves trade for Sean Murphy and just found themselves a free William Contreras. I should say free. They had to uh, give up Estuary Ruiz, but don't call me heartbroken about having to give up him for William Contreras. So Adam and Andrew talked about that on Cruising for a Bruising. If you haven't listened yet, go listen to it. Very fun pod. Optimistic Andrew back at it again. Um, Make time for this. Adam and Andrew have lots of pods regarding the World Cup and then a couple of the recent movie releases. So if you want to check it out today, I'm guessing they're gonna release it. He mentioned it, but the Argentina France final this
No.
Sunday, I believe. So that'll be that'll be good. I think that'll be very exciting. The semifinal pod is up. He said so. That's all for going, and then the final pod Sunday Monday will be coming. So and then they, like I said, recent movie releases including After Sun, Bones and All, Armageddon Time, and Stutz. So and then, if not mistaken, there, Jordan, you guys are doing Win in Six, correct?
You'd be correct. We are probably recording when this gets dropped or when you see this and then you be like, oh, there's another podcast you could
There's
listen to my
another one.
nasally cold ridden voice on it. Yes, Win 6 will be recording Thursday morning.
Yes. So if you missed all of that, you can always find it at gspn.info. Links to all of the pods and their pages, links to join the Discord, get in there, talk sports with us, talk Wisconsin food, World Cup as it comes to a close. A lot of good things happening, a lot of fun. So come join the community, get playback links, uh, get merch stuff in the Discord as well, or in the website gspn.info. But Other than that, Monday Night Football, 7:25, I believe, or 7:20
Yes.
on
Yes.
ESPN with, I think it's, is it? Who does
Yeah.
Monday Night Football? Joe Buck and Troy Aikman,
Joe
right?
Buck and Troy Aikman,
We,
our
we,
old
our
friends.
old friends reunited. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for listening, subscribing, rating, and reviewing all that good stuff. We will talk to you again on Tuesday. And thank you, Jordan, for joining me.
Thank you.